Hi, my name is Mr. Overla. I'm a social studies here at Perry High School, and I'm here to talk to you about Veterans Day. 103 years ago, in the 11th month, which was November, on the 11th day, a Monday, at the 11th hour, World War I officially ended. After 1,355 days of war and 37.5 million total casualties between the Allies and the Central Powers, peace was restored to our world. Why did the war break out? Well, there's four main reasons: militarism, the alliance system, imperialism, and nationalism. Militarism is the belief that a country should maintain a strong military and use it aggressively to promote its national interests. The alliance system is a system of treaties and agreements in which countries can count on each other for each other's mutual defense. So, for example, if Mexico were to have an alliance with the United States, if Mexico is attacked by Brazil, then the United States would come in their defense, mutual defense system. Imperialism is a policy of extending a country's power and influence, usually through military force. And imperialism, basically, a country goes into another country and exploits that country more often than not for its natural resources and things like that. Finally, nationalism. Nationalism is the idea that one supports their country above all else. Think, for example, my country, right or wrong, doesn't matter. I'm supporting my country. That's what nationalism is. So what is Veterans Day? Veterans Day is observed annually on November 11th, and it honors the men and women who have served in the U.S. Armed Forces on the anniversary of the end of World War I. It was originally called Armistice Day, since it was the armistice that ended the war, which signaled the end of World War I, and originated in 1919, 1 year after the war ended. President Woodrow Wilson is the first president to celebrate the Armistice Day. In 1954, President Eisenhower, a general himself during World War II, changed the name from Armistice Day to Veterans Day to commemorate veterans of all wars, not only World War I, but all wars. And today, we use Veterans Day to celebrate the service of all of our veterans, whether they served during war or not. So our first interesting fact of World War I is that, believe it or not, 8 million horses, donkeys, and mules were killed during the war. They began the war being used as cavalry, but they proved pretty ineffective against modern machine guns, and they were later used to transport ammunition, transport equipment, transport wounded people off the field, and obviously to transport the dead off the field. Another interesting fact of World War I is that it's called the Christmas Truce of 1914. The war started in July of 1914, and by Christmas, most people were pretty sick of the war, especially the soldiers themselves. During Christmas of 1914, the troops of the Central Army, Central Powers, mostly German troops, and armies of the Allied Powers, Canada, France, and Great Britain, the United States had not yet joined the war. Basically, along the front in France, they just said, hey, let's stop fighting. So what they did is they would go across the lines and with truce flags, and they would stop fighting during the Christmas holiday. Soldiers came out of the trenches and they met in the no man's land in between the trenches. They fraternized with each other. They shared tobacco. They shared gifts from home, like cookies and baked goods and things like that. They would often, soccer games would break out between the two opposing armies. The different soldiers would cut each other's hair, shave each other. You know, it was kind of a scary time for not the soldiers themselves, but the higher ups who didn't like this fraternization between the enemy, because without a war, without soldiers to fight in it, you know, there would be no war, right? So the World War I almost ended inexplicably because of the Christmas truce of 1914. Thank goodness they got people back together to killing each other, I guess. World War I was our first mechanized war, our first industrialized war, if you will. Many of the nations involved during World War I were fully modernized industrial countries. Many generals and political leaders were astounded at how efficiently modern warfare was at slaughtering armies. The tremendous amount of carnage was astonishing. World War I was referred to as the war to end all wars. Unfortunately, that did not happen, but it was called the war to end all wars because of its unbelievable destruction and unbelievable carnage.
Ready, aim, high. Ready, aim, high. Ready.
I have a poem named In Flanders Fields, written by Canadian infantryman John McCrae. He wrote this poem after the Second Battle of Ypres in Belgium in honor of a friend of his who had fallen there. And this poem is used, it's an iconic poem, it's used by many people when we talk about World War I. In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from falling hands we throw. The torch, be yours to hold it high. If you break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.